I've got a lot of big projects going on. And the problem with big projects is they take up a lot of room. I'm running out of space. And not only do the vehicles themselves take up a lot of room, but just the parts to them that can get me rolling on things like this project again, they take up a lot of room. So I had to find a solution to that. So I thought of a good way to solve that problem. I bought a project that's small. Problem solved. Now it's time to figure out what I bought. Let's take a look at this thing. Generally, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. There is a little bit of visibility issue with the windshield. It's pretty good there, not so good here, not so good over there, not particularly sturdy. Looks like it has safety equipment, lights and such. There are rear view mirrors. Kind of a cool style. They did this little up and over bend. That looks like 90s style graphics. I have absolutely no idea what year this is. I got very little information when I bought it. Let's take a look inside. Okay, this may be harder than I thought. Luckily the window's down. Definitely a seat, or used to be. Steering wheel. We're doing well so far. Shift lever, made of amber or something. A little bit of trim falling down, a little bit of headliner falling down. That looks like a vent. We gotta get in here and look at this more. Inner door latch. That leaves something to be desired. You grab the sharp pointy bit. There it goes. Manual crank windows with no handle. That kind of looks like a company logo. I don't actually know who made this. That might give me a clue. Bits of broken glass. Looks like the inner door handle pocket. Now, one of the most important things is we have 3 pedals. Now, I was told the clutch didn't work on this, and yep, definitely doesn't work. We've got an emergency brake. It might work. Shift lever. This looks like that's a reservoir to something. Don't know if it's going to hold as much fluid as it used to. Here's where it says brake fluid. That's totally empty. Yeah, that used to go there. We got a key. It turns. Bonus. Cassette player. You actually can't push the switches because the dashboard flexes too much. Got gauges, amp meter. We got oil pressure, 0 to 0.5. That's odd. Oh, MPA, megapascals. Okay, never seen a gauge with the units of megapascals. Got a speedometer, kilometers an hour. 2,000 kilometers on the clock? Huh, that seems really low. Fuel gauge is between 0 and 1. Temperature, degrees Celsius. And apparently it goes low over there and high over here. Got a window crank. Now, the people I bought it from told me that this is the way you start it. Got a temperature gauge down here. Hey, that looks like the clutch master cylinder. Some trim, windshield washer bottle, random hoses. Oh, some kind of access. More access. This looks like the important stuff. How does this go? There we go. And we got an engine. And it's definitely a diesel. Those are injectors. And there are definitely 4 of them. So that's good. So 4-cylinder diesel. That alone is worth what I paid for it as long as it runs. Yangdong diesel engine. Output. Date. 2001. It's like new. This is one of the newest vehicles I own. Well, that's interesting. This one has a interesting handle. Hey, that one works. Hey, this one has a window crank. Obviously not the same one as here. It even has an inside door handle. Nice. Oh, hey. We've got stuff. Someone sold this for $6,900 once. That's a 2002. What else we got in here? Plastic. More plastic. Oh, here's the broken piece of the inside door handle. Pedal pad. I guess that's the logo for King. And some little hardware. Let's see what's under here. The wires for the button and the line for the temperature gauge. There's sticks crammed in here. That's a good sign. You know, high quality when you repair involves an alligator clip. All right. It's got 4 tires and they seem to be holding air. It's interesting, this cap has a hex on it. It looks like it might unscrew to get to the bearings. A little step on the side to climb in. And this has sides that fold down. So the whole bed side should drop. Here's our battery box. Full floating rear axle. So we do this and this. Oh, yep, there's that logo again. All right, that comes down. There's our fuel tank. It's got a pump attached to it, a little electric pump. We drop this down. So we could load this with a forklift sideways and put pallets on it. That protects the cab from any cargo sliding that way. That's nice. There's this side. And now it's a total flatbed. Gotta get a battery in this thing. It's got this battery cable going to this lever. That must be a battery shut-off. That's kind of cool. Oh, okay. Basically, it just switches this cable and either connects it to the frame or disconnects it. Turn the key, and nothing happens. Okay, key on. Oh, I hear something click. All right. The amp meter drops down. The lights on the radio went on briefly. I wonder if that's good or bad. Okay, if I hold the switch, the lights are on. So, I wonder what it's supposed to do. Well, let's try this button. Oh. Love it. That starts easy. Don't see any smoke out the exhaust at all. I thought that turning the key off would turn the engine off. It didn't. Nothing on the dashboard seemed to do anything. I couldn't find anything around there that would turn it off. I don't see any way to turn it off. The key does nothing. The switch on the dashboard does nothing. Wonder if the battery disconnect will do it. Nope. Since I don't have a clutch, I can't stall it either. I figured I could let it run out of fuel. It's starting to smell like antifreeze, so that's not necessarily good. And what do we have here? Ah, that's how we shut it off. Okay, now we know. Now here's the clutch master cylinder. So let's see what we got inside this thing. There we go. All right, the piston obviously didn't pop right out. We're gonna have to encourage it out. There we go. That felt like it did something. There we are. Let's clean this up a little bit. No, we got a tear here. Little one-way valve. Should be a spring in here. Cup, spring. We'll take a look at cleaning up that bore. Seen worse. That bore seemed to clean up pretty nice. I think it'll be okay. This is a soft aluminum part. A lot of times you can use the end of a piece of wire. The copper is pretty soft. It's pretty likely you won't damage anything, and you can kind of twist it up so it acts like an auger and really pulls junk out, like that little pile of goop. I can see through all of them now. Getting a little bit of brake fluid all over the place in here, just to give it a little bit of lubrication. So now spring first. Then we put this cup in, piston. Now that's the part that's torn just a little bit. So we'll take a little extra care to make sure we get that seated in without tearing it further. Just kind of wiggle it around. Doesn't want to pop out now. We're gonna have to see what we can do when we add some fluid here. All right, I was able to push it in and the piston stayed down. I'm gonna pop off this banjo fitting so I can see inside and add fluid directly. Okay, we got fluid there. Now I could take off the line and push it backwards, but I want to work the fluid through it. So I got to figure out a way to pull it from the front. I'm going to take a tap and just drive a tap into that cup and see if that'll grip enough I can pull. Oh, I got it, I think. I can pull. Yep. Let's see if we can just loosen up that piston a little bit. Oh yeah, threads are tapped in there. Now I got a good method to move it. Let's add a little more fluid in there. I need a bigger reservoir up here. Found a piece of pipe laying on the bench here. Good thing this is cluttered with stuff. Everything I need is at my fingertips. Doesn't seem like this is quite working right. The clutch cylinder is installed. We're going to go ahead and use a universal remote reservoir to make sure we have plenty of fluid in that. Well, I went to loosen the bleeder screw to bleed the fluid, and there isn't one. Hopefully whoever worked on this last left it around. This little bin of stuff came with it. What are the chances there's a bleeder screw in it? Nope. Nope, this could be an issue. Well, we gotta find a bleeder screw now. Since the brakes don't work, I'm not using those bleeders. Let's see if they're the same size. We'll give that a shot. Clean the mud out of the bleeder. Let's see if it threads in. Yep, well, that was handy. Now, gotta get some fluid out of this thing. Interesting to note, the clutch line rubs against the suspension. Build quality on this vehicle is, it's not been good. Let's work on bleeding the clutch. I noticed this. That looks like a secure tie rod end. The problem I'm having is this cylinder is going down, but not springing back up under its own spring. So I took off the normal push rod, ditched that, and put a bolt in its place. I also noticed the cylinder is leaking profusely, so this is not going to work for very long. Now I've used some safety wire to tie the two together, so that the spring from the clutch pedal itself helps the spring from the master cylinder to try to get it to return. And now it's dripping even faster. Kind of working. I don't have any fluid at all coming into the bleeding bottle, and I've got a river going across the floor of the truck. So I don't think this is going to work. We're going to come up with a different solution. Let's take a look underneath this thing. That's a better view. I really don't know if this thing is road legal or not, but it does have a place to attach a license plate. So maybe. Here's our spare tire. That's a nice free floating spare. It's got these tiny little tow hooks in the back. They're nicely welded on, but they're so small. Okay, we got regular leaf springs and helper springs. It looks like the helper springs have been used. That's definitely not a locker, limited slip, or anything like that. We have shock absorbers mounted completely vertical, so you know that they had no consideration of wheel hop on this thing. There's our exhaust pipe. It's bigger than a thumb, so that's something. It has a drive shaft hoop. There is a tiny, tiny little parking brake in the back of the transmission. I guess 6 inches diameter or so. Definitely smaller than a hand. And a tiny, tiny little transmission. A little over a finger width wide. That would fit anywhere. Got the shift linkage up there. Oh yeah, we got 2 levers for the shift linkage. That bolt pattern looks suspiciously close to that bolt pattern. Look at the little drum brakes on a full floater. So funny. Get some of the spider webs out from under here before I put anything else back on. Huh. That bolts right on. Now when I bought this truck, I was told it had been sitting for a long, long time. There's a dirt mark where it was sunk in. That seems to fit. I'm looking at the tires themselves. I don't think these are tires you can buy in the US. I don't think Ling Longs are available here. 685 kilogram weight rating. These definitely look like 20-year-old tires. They also look like they have very little wear on them. So if these are the original tires, it means that that odometer has not rolled over. That's the actual mileage. Even if you figure this thing was going slow, and that should be multiplied by 10 because of low speed, that's still low. It concerns me slightly that this bolt actually wobbles around. Not only is this one wobbly, it seems to automatically cross-thread the nut. We're just going to firmly ignore that one and walk away. 4 is fine. Now I'm using that grease fitting to count my revolutions on the drive shaft, and this bolt that won't go on to count the revolutions on my wheel. Counting that, marking wheel revolutions on the ground and hash marks, I'm getting that this is around 54 revolutions on the drive shaft for around 10 revolutions on the tire, which works out to a 540 ratio. There's a possibility this ratio could match a Jeep front axle and use the same bolt pattern. This has possibilities. I noticed this has an aftermarket temperature gauge on it, and I also noticed when I ran it the first time, it smelled a little bit like antifreeze. So let's actually check the coolant level. Oh, it's held in by a chain. Kind of like that. The coolant level is there isn't any. Let's add a little bit to that. I recently drained the coolant out of another engine that you'll see swapped coming up pretty soon. So we're going to do a little bit of recycling here. I'm sure all the dirt has settled to the bottom by now. Kind of green, a little bit tan. It'll be fine. I'm sure the system isn't very big, and I just added most of a gallon. I hear water pouring out already. That's not really a good sign. I see a puddle on top of the water pump. There's definitely a puddle here. Oh well, let's start it up and see if more comes out. It almost seems to leak less when it's running. That's a little weird. All right, I take that back. It's coming out faster now. Antifreeze is coming off everything at this point. So we're gonna shut it down. Yep, tastes like antifreeze. Access to this thing is terrible. This engine compartment is about the width of my hand. That is not gonna be fun to work on. We'll just pretend we never saw that. Went to put some diesel in it. I couldn't get the cap off, and then I noticed this. It's a locking gas cap. Now hopefully the key actually opens it. Oh, here it comes. There, I got it. I think I'm gonna soak that with some oil, just in case. Hopefully that'll help. It's moving a little. It's interesting, the fellows I bought it from made a point of mentioning they didn't know how much fuel there was. They don't know how much fuel there was, because they couldn't get it open. There we go. Looks like it's more than half full. That added a lot of value to this truck at today's prices. This cylinder is just not going to work as is. I measured the bore, went to find a repair kit for it. They measured out to 22 millimeter. There's not much available for that. A little bit bigger is 7/8. There's a lot available for that, but a little bit bigger would make this bind up. Maybe that's what someone did before, is they put 7/8 stuff inside this 22 millimeter bore. I'm not sure, but I know it's not going to work. But while I was looking up 7/8 stuff, they sell 7/8 master cylinders. So I bought the cheapest one available. This is for an Isuzu, but it's got a 7/8 bore, and it was only 18 bucks. So both those are a win for me. It has a 2-bolt mounting flange, which looks awfully similar to the old one. I think it'll be close enough. Has a large diameter port for the fluid reservoir. The bolt for the old one does not fit. This is an M16 thread. When I looked that up, I found a lot of applications on power steering pumps. There's power steering, but I think that's a Chevy. This is Jeep stuff, but I think they use metric fittings. Let's see what a return line looks like. That looks roughly right. Let's see if it threads in. Looks like we can hook up a reservoir. The thread here fits in, but there's a small hole in the bottom. This is a bit of a pilot tip on it, and that is too big to fit in that hole. Got the end taken down. I can put this little rubber gasket right back on it. Now we can hook up a hose with brake fluid. It has a small diameter port with a flare fitting on the bottom of it. The hose that goes to the slave cylinder kind of fits, but then stops. I measured the thread. This is an M12 by 1 thread. This is an M12 by 1.25 thread. So if I had a die, I could rethread this and have it go straight in there, but I don't, and I can't buy one locally, and I don't want to wait. This is a somewhat standard flare fitting. Not standard enough that any parts store in town has one, but I think I might have another option on that. I looked at every parts store in town. No one had the M12 fitting, but I have one on this. This is the line that goes to the clutch slave cylinder, and it threads right into my new master cylinder. Problem is, the new master cylinder needs to be up there. I'm gonna see how close this thing is to actually fitting. There's no way this could just line up, is there? It just lines up. The rubber in the center hole is a little tight, but I think that'll slide in as I bolt it down. Now this is the line to the slave cylinder that was rubbing. We're gonna fix that too. Oh, this isn't tight. I noticed that the flooring has a little tear in it, so I'm gonna take advantage of that. This should be fine. The line comes to the master cylinder, goes right along the floorboard and into the engine compartment. And then it comes through the engine compartment to the rubber line, which goes down does not rub on the suspension anymore and goes to the slave cylinder. Now all we have to do is hook up our reservoir to the power steering line. Everything should be fine. Same hose even fits. This has lots of capacity. That's good. I was hoping those holes would line up. They don't. I can't put a bolt through them. Rather than doing a lot of modification, we're just going to take a shortcut. I just put the clevis on next to the arm and put a wobbly bolt through the whole thing. It's not straight up and down, but it should work. Gonna crack the bleeder here. Let it gravity bleed for a little bit. Though the crack in that rubber hose is very encouraging. Oh, we got fluid already. So let's just close that up. So, moment of truth time. I don't want to look. You guys tell me if it does something. It's moving, but not nearly as far as I expect it to. Wonder how far it's supposed to go. Now I push the clutch down and it stops. If I crack the line, this drops right down. So I'm definitely building up hydraulic pressure in that line. And the pressure on the line is what's stopping the pedal. So maybe that's as far as it's supposed to go? Or something's bound up down there. We have another issue with the clutch. Oh wait, it's moving more now. Maybe it's just bound up. Let's take a look down there and see what happens. That looks more like it. Let's try this thing out. Last time I had added coolant to this, it leaked so badly it sprayed all over the interior of the cab. That's gonna be an issue for driving it. So this time, what I'm gonna do, just close up the engine compartment. Now, it's gonna leak all over the place, but it'll go down. That's better. Let's try to drive this a little further. I put a rain cap in my fluid reservoir. Oh yeah, I don't even bother using the key anymore. Alright, clutch. Still feels like a clutch. The glass fell out. This is the most vague shift I've ever seen. I don't even know how many gears this thing has. I think I'm in one of them. Nope, that's neutral still. Try that. Still neutral. Maybe. There we go. All right. Smells like antifreeze already. Surprisingly hard steering for a vehicle this small. The turn's pretty sharp. Think that's reverse? Nope, another forward gear. Got at least more than one forward. Oh, there's another neutral. Maybe there? Nope. I just got a gear above reverse, so it might be a 5-speed. I don't know. We're gonna try grabbing second. Oh. There's no power there. That might have been fourth. I don't know. I have no idea what gear it is. I think that's second. Clutch seems to be working though. That's good. Oh, there's neutral again. There we go. engine runs good though. Come on. That might be reverse. Yep. That's third. Neutral again. There we go. That felt like it. There's second. Oh yeah, we had a 1-2 shift there. We're cruising now. Gotta remember I don't have brakes. Forgot about that part. Luckily I think some of our dragging just slows down pretty quick. Surprisingly, the cab isn't that uncomfortable. I was really expecting to be squished in here, but I'm not. We're going to call this an officially done test drive. Before I do much more, I got to work on that cooling system and maybe some brakes. That's it for now. This is a win. It drives. Oh, yeah, I can't get out easy. All right, I need a door handle. Definitely need a door handle. There we go. Now I have a problem. I gotta figure out what to do with this thing. When I first bought it, I was planning on getting it running and turning it into a little mini camper, which I thought would be a lot of fun. But then I worked on it, and I really didn't like working on it, and I didn't feel like the build quality was really good. There's a lot of issues with this. Then, since I read the data plate of the motor saying it's 195 kilograms, that's the right size and weight to swap into a flat fender Jeep. And I've always wanted a diesel flat fender. This one runs badly, that one has no engine at all. Either one would be perfect for that diesel. So up till this morning, I was all ready to take this apart and steal the parts I want and get rid of the rest. Then I drove it. I kind of like it. It's kind of fun to drive. I expect it to be cramped, I fit fine, there's headroom. It might not be bad to put on the road as is, or modify it a little bit. That's screaming out four-wheel drive conversion. I already have a front end with the right ratio. Or turn it into something completely different. That just looks like a toy, not a real vehicle. So I need opinions. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do with this thing, because I'm really torn as to which way to go. But no matter what, it's already a win, because it runs and drives, and it was fun. Hope you guys are having fun too. We'll see you next time. Third again. Oh, that's fourth. Neutral again. Come on, where? There we go. Plunk. There's reverse. I don't know what gear that is. I don't think that was one. Still neutral. There we go.